Dear students, welcome once again to my class. Today's topic is a poem in your Honeysuckle book. It's titled Vocation, written by Rabindranath Tagore. Do you know what is meant by the title Vocation? When you hear this word, some of them getting confusion, isn't it? Am I right? Let's see the difference between vacation and vocation. Vacation means a holiday period. Vocation means profession. You know that very well, a type of work or ambition for a particular profession. Now, are you clear about the title? Okay, let's know something about the poet, Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore was born on the 7th of May 1861 in Calcutta. He was a Bengali poet, writer, composer, philosopher, and painter. He is the best known as a poet, but he was a man of many talents. On the one hand, he was the first Indian to win Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913, and on the other, a novelist who wrote and composed an entire genre of songs. This poem speaks about a child's desire for the freedom. He sees in three people at the three different times of the day and he wants to be each one of them. Let's move to the poem lines. Stanza 1. When the gong sounds 10 in the morning and I walk to school by our lane, every day I meet the hawker crying, bangles, crystal bangles. There is nothing to hurry him on. There is no road he must take, no place he must go to, no time when he must come home. I wish I were a hawker, spending my day in the road, carrying bangles, crystal bangles. According to the poet, what he says, at 10 in the morning, while going to school, he sees a bangle sailor crying out, bangles, crystal bangles. Crying out means he had mentioned calling out, calling for sale, bangles, crystal bangles. The child likes his free manner of living. He can follow any road. He can go to any place. He has no fixed time for doing anything. In fact, the bangle sailor is not at all in a hurry. The child wishes that he were a hawker crying, bangles, crystal bangles. Let's move to the stanza 2. When at 4 in the afternoon I come back from the school, I can see through the gate of that house the gardener digging through the ground. He does what he likes with his pad. He soils his clothes with dust. Nobody takes him to task. If he gets baked in the sun or gets wet, I wish I were a gardener digging away at the garden with nobody to stop me from digging. According to the poet, what he says, at 4 p.m., while coming back from school, the child sees a gardener digging the ground. He is also a free man. He can do anything with his pad. He can soil his clothes with mud. No one scolds him if he gets wet. None can stop him from digging. So the child wishes to be a gardener, digging the garden with freedom. Let's come to the next stanza. Just as it gets dark in the evening and my mother sends me to bed, I can see through my window the watchman walking up and down. The lane is dark and lonely, and the street lamp stands like a giant with one red eye in its head. The watchman swings his lantern and walks with his shadow at his side, and never once goes to bed in his life. I wish I were a watchman walking the street all night, chasing the shadow with my lantern. In this stanza mentioned at the night time. Night comes, the child's mother sent him to bed. Isn't it? The mother said, go to bed. He sees through the child. Sees through the open window. There is a watchman walking up and down the dark and lonely lane. The street lamp stands like a giant with one red eye in its head. How it does look like? The poet compares the street lamp with a giant who is tall and has one red eye on his forehead. The watchman swings his lantern. He never goes to bed. The child wishes that were a watchman walking the streets all night and chasing the shadow. Here, why does the poet wish to become a watchman? The poet doesn't like going to bed early. He wants to walk free in the dark and lonely street and chase a shadow at night. So that he said. The central idea of the poem, Vocation. The poem describes a child's longing for freedom. The child wishes to be a hawker, a gardener, and a watchman. Not because of the work they do, but because of the freedom they enjoy. Can you able to understand the concept? Who is the speaker in this poem? The poet himself is the speaker in the poem. Who are the people the speaker meets? First, the poet meets a street hawker. He is selling bangles. Then he meets a gardener. He is digging the ground. Last of all, he meets a watchman. He is walking up and down the street watching the houses. What does the poet want to be and why? The child wishes to be a hawker, a gardener, and a watchman. Not because of work they do, but because of freedoms they enjoy. The hawker for moving freely from one place to another without any hurry of reaching particular place on time. This is one reason. And the gardener, he is allowed to soil his clothes and get baked in the sun and wet on the rain. Nobody scolds him for all these things. And the third one, watchman. He is free to walk in the dark and lonely night. He is never asked to go to bed early. So these three things attracted by the poet, not because of the work, because of the freedoms they enjoy. Let's say the summary of the poem. Vocation is a poem written by Rabindranath Tagore. It describes a child's desire for the freedom he sees in three people at three different times of the day. He wants to be each one of them. At 10 in the morning, while going to school, he sees a bangle seller crying out, "Bangles, crystal bangles." The child likes his free manner of living. He can follow any road, he can go to any place. He has no fixed time for doing anything. In fact, the bangle seller is not at all in a hurry. The child wishes that he were a hawker crying bangles, crystal bangles. At 4 p.m., while coming back from school, the child sees a gardener digging the ground. He is also a free man. He can do anything with his pad. He can soil his clothes with mud. No one scolds him if he gets wet. None can stop him from digging. So the child wishes to be a gardener, digging the ground with freedom. Night comes. The child's mother sends him to bed. He sees through the open window. There is a watchman walking up and down the dark and lonely lane. The street lamp stands like a giant with one red eye in its head. The watchman swings his lantern. He never goes to bed. The child wishes that he were a watchman walking the street all night and chasing the shadows. Dear students, I hope you all enjoy this poem. Here I attached new words and meanings also. Thank you.